Oh, we're in. Yay. Okay. Hi there, future profit masters. I'm so excited to be here with you today with you, bringing you new content. Today I'm interviewing Derek Isaac. He is a business success coach, and he will be teaching you guys why being self-employed is sabotaging your business. And so that's something I'm sure that many of you have come from the private sector and maybe have these issues that we're going to talk about today are cropping up in your business and keeping you from being as successful as you can be. So hi, Derek. How are you
today? Doing wonderful. Yeah, having a great day.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what your experience is in entrepreneurship?
Yep. So I'm a small business success coach. I help small businesses, generally new businesses within their first 1 to 5 years of business, doing under 300 to 400,000 per year. And I help them to implement systems in their business so that they can scale and grow their business from that point. So that's what I do. My experience is in entrepreneurship. So I started fairly young age. I'm an avid reader, so personal development's been big for me throughout my entire adult life. And I started in real estate, bought some houses, fixed them up. I have a background in construction. So technically my trade would be carpentry, construction, which I did for many years, started a business, slowly grew the business, doing subcontract work and then renovations, general contracting, new home building, as well as different real estate investing, flipping houses and rentals and stuff like that. So that was my entrepreneurship. And then in the last 2 years, I've been transitioning into being more of a consultant, helping small businesses. It started out more just pro bono, helping people inside my network with their businesses and some new entrepreneurs that were just getting started and needed some help. And now I'm able to do that full time as a business coach.
Oh, that's amazing. And it sounds like you have a really good idea, right, of what it's like to own a business, to be an entrepreneur, and then be moving into being the CEO, being the person who is actually running the business. Most business owners start a business doing something that they did as a competent employee. How does their mindset need to shift in order to step into becoming a business owner?
Yeah, so this is one of the big challenges of entrepreneurs, new business owners is most often than not, they'll come from a technical background. Either, they're like myself, they were great at their trade that they did, or maybe they're a professional chiropractor or dentist or accountant, something like this. And they're very good at what they do, so they start a business doing the same thing. And generally, you can be very successful, in that taking that step, but there's a lot of trials and tribulations when starting a business because you're now being paid for results and performance. You're not being paid, a wage for the amount of time or the hard work that you put in necessarily, even though business owners are probably the hardest working people on the planet. So that's a big thing with mindset is going through those stages of being a technician, to then being a business owner and being, self-employed. That's sort of the first step. And then the next step from being self-employed would then be, a business owner, an entrepreneur, overseeing a business as opposed to being self-employed where you're a technician with a business. And some of the things that are necessary is, there's a multi-stack of new skills and abilities that needs to be learned, marketing, sales, finance, customer service, leadership. There's all these new things that need to be learned, as well as you're fully responsible, and you have to be self-motivated essentially. So there's a lot. There's a lot, and a lot of people don't know how much work and how much they have to push their boundaries of comfort and new things that they need to learn and do when they move into starting a business and becoming a business owner as opposed to a technician or just self-employed person.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of those things could really just slip through the cracks and not even get looked at. That's probably why you're saying, like, with self-employed people, like if you have a self-employed mindset, can you expand on that a little bit? Like, because you're saying that being self-employed will sabotage your business growth, and I wonder if it has something to do with what you were just saying. So
yeah, so like I said, that step from being an employee to self-employed, often, depending on the person, I mean, there can be some success there, although it's it can sabotage you because you're still thinking as an employee who owns a business. So you're thinking, if I work harder, if I put in more hours, I'll make more money. But this is often not the case. Usually you work harder, you put in more hours, you're going to limit yourself because you need to build the system, you need to build your business, you need to work on your business instead of inside your business. So this type of mindset will actually sabotage your growth to get you from being that self-employed technician to the business owner who can start building a team, start delegating tasks, start creating the systems that are necessary so that your time is being used effectively as, you know, a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as opposed to a technician who's working hard, putting in the hours just to kind of get a paycheck and then hope for the best. So
I love the way you describe that, because I've been thinking a lot about that lately. Like, why do people feel like they need to throw all their money and all their time back into their business? I've seen it so many times on different Facebook groups where someone will ask that question, hey, do you pay yourself first? Because, you know, profit first, kind of the idea that's out there. And so many people answered, no, of course not. I always pay the business first. But you're right. It's coming from that mindset of being the employee who you work hard and you get benefited from that work. But you're right. That doesn't happen.
Understanding sort of where the value lies as far as for the growth of a company, where what you can produce as a technician is capped. So your business is going to be capped if you're thinking as a self-employed person. Whereas when you're thinking as a business owner who wants to grow their business, now you've opened up your mindset and your thoughts to, building and growing. Now, some people can be self-employed and have a small business and just they enjoy the technical work and they're happy there. But later on, if you want to sell your business or you want to expedite, the age that you can retire at, essentially, then it's important to think of how you could grow your business in a way that you can start to step back and have the systems and people in place to better provide value and earn larger revenue, larger profit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So although it would be nice to do, new business owners are not able to just hire employees to do everything that they were doing and just sit back and oversee their company. So what are the steps that are involved in moving from being that self-employed to being the CEO?
Yeah, this is the big hurdle. The big step is where you are the self-employed technician and now I need to hire somebody because I can't do it all. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I can't grow. And it would be nice to just, hire someone and then have them, take care of the business while you go on vacation. But obviously that's rarely the case. And there's the money aspect, right? You can't just hire everything out and think that the business is going to operate properly. There's the money, but there's also the leadership. There's the systems, different things that need to be put in place. So for the steps, I mean, you need to start building out the systems, and that involves realizing the different roles of your business. So you have the technical role that you're doing, the actual service that you're providing. So you need to start systematizing that and think about what are the different tasks involved, and then creating standard operating procedures, certain steps that you can then offload to somebody else. So when you hire a new employee, they need to have a system in place that they can do what you do without you having to constantly oversee them and manage them, because that's just going to cause more issues for you if you bring in an employee and you don't have a set way of operating or a set onboarding process of how they're trained, how they communicate with the clients, how they perform their job, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what's the values of the company. Having these key things in place before you hire someone is very important to make sure that they're being effective at what they're doing. They're also not frustrated because they have to constantly be asking you what they should be doing, or maybe you're a new manager and it's just, there's that friction there. So some forethought before hiring makes a big difference. And then, realizing also where you need someone or where you need a system. So maybe hiring someone is not in your budget right now, but
Right.
maybe you can afford a subscription to some sort of software or some sort of service. Like a lot of people will, what's the word for it? Hire a subcontractor essentially, hire someone, a freelancer. That's what I was looking for. So you could hire a freelancer to help you with some specific small tasks that maybe will free up an hour out of your day or a few hours per week. And you don't need to hire someone. You're paying for performance essentially. So these are other strategies that you can use to start thinking more like a business owner of how can I start to delegate tasks and create a system to support me and free up my time to better serve my clients or better work on the business.
I love that idea of having the systems, because I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included, letting go of the control is such a thing. You feel like no one else is going to be able to do it. No one else can do it. But as I've implemented systems in my business, I realized, oh, okay, this is actually something that now that I have these steps to it, I could just give someone a little bit of direction and they can run with it, instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to do all 10 steps to my email marketing and my posting and all of those different things that come with it.
Yeah. And like the profit first system where you start small with, giving yourself some profit. Same thing with this, with delegating tasks. I wouldn't go out and hire a full-time employee right away. If you don't have any in your business, or if you have like a new role that you want to offload, like maybe sales or something like that, you wouldn't want to maybe just go out and hire a salesperson or give all your sales to one person. You might want to hire someone to just do a small part of that, or just an hour or two here and there. And then after you've delegated that, now you know how to communicate with that person, and you've defined a specific thing for them to do. So and then once that person knows that role, then you can start adding extra roles or extra things that you could delegate to them.
Yeah, it does help to have the clarity on both sides, really. So what are some of the common mistakes that you're seeing that business owners are making as they're trying to grow their business?
Yeah. So the maybe not the number one mistake, but the biggest one that gets people in the most trouble is not watching their numbers and overspending. That's the Titanic all over again. You could have an awesome business, but just ramping up revenue could be a cause for disaster. If you have a business that's not profitable, or if you have a business that's not systematized or working properly, you try to scale, all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of, clients that sign up and sign in, and it's like, well, I have all this money from these people, but your business can't handle that. And you're not realizing that your expenses are rising faster than the new revenue that you're generating, is a recipe for disaster. So not watching your numbers and not knowing what the numbers mean as well. I mean, you need some financial aptitude as to what the numbers mean and how to translate that into decisions for your business. So that's the big one. Another one that I see is not having a clear niche. So being too broad with your service offering is often detrimental to a business. If you're serving, everybody, then you have no clear system. You have no clear offering. And so your prices that you can charge are going to be lower, but you're also constantly going to be having different types of clients. So you're going to have to be providing services in different ways. Whereas if you have a narrowed niche, even though you might serve clients outside, that niche that come to you, but the bulk of your clients are ones that are geared and that you can serve in the same way over and over again, and systematize that instead of having kind of businesses or clients that are all over the place, different this and that, and each one you have to give some sort of customized service to. It'll make serving them much more difficult, and also growing the business much more difficult. And then the final one, which I won't spend much time on because I think everybody knows it, is doing too much. Just trying to do too much and not being effective. Pushing productivity, being efficient, like 10, 12, 14-hour days, but you're not being effective because you're just spread too thin. So, yeah.
I call those, when you have multiple clients like that and you're having to maybe even buy new software, buy new things to work with them, I call that expense generating income. We don't
Yes.
want expense generating income. We want to be able to work within, you know, where we want the business to go, right? And then have activities that when we get new clients, we're not always having to increase our expenses as those clients are coming in, because that is not really giving you more income. It's just giving you that expense, those expenses. So how would you recommend they avoid these mistakes that you're seeing?
Yeah, so the first one, I mean, not watching their numbers is obviously doing proper bookkeeping and working with a great bookkeeper or accountant, and then getting some financial training as far as what the numbers mean and how to look at them in a way that they can make decisions to benefit their business, and having systems in place so that they're very acutely aware of when their expenses are exceeding their their revenue or the profits, so that they're able to change direction early enough to make a difference later on. So that'd be one. The niche part, I would suggest working. I mean, I have documents in place that I can share. I have a challenge coming up that will help people with this. But yeah, getting clear in your niche and thinking 80-20. So who's the 20 best clients you ever had that you love to work with, that love your service, and build an ideal client from those existing clients, as well as doing some market research. So call your best 5 clients you ever had, or ones you have great relationships with, and ask them, why did you choose my services? What was your pain, or what was the problem? Why did you want to use my service? Why why did you choose me over my competition? All that kind of market research to get really clear from the actual people that you've helped, why they chose you, and then you can use that for your marketing for your services. It'll give you a much better idea of your narrow niche. And as far as the overwhelm goes, planning is a big part of it. Taking some time to plan out your day and plan out your week, your month. I think planning before you do anything is vitally important, and it'll save you a lot of time. And then just recognizing in yourself when you're overworked, when you're overstressed, and maybe just taking a bit of time for yourself.
Yeah, it's important to have that permission, to give yourself permission. I find as a business owner, this is something that I fall into, and I think it comes from that self-employed mindset too, where you forget that you're the one in control of your time. And so I'll get overwhelmed, and I got all these things to do, and then like, hold on, I'm the boss. Let me look at what I really want to prioritize and figure this out. And then I've completely changed my schedule. In the beginning I was stuck, with that mindset of an employee. Oh, I have to work from this time to this time. But I'm like, you know what? Now, because the kids are homeschooling and all this stuff's going on, sometimes I'm working at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, just wrapping up things when I can. So that self-employed mindset can really sabotage your business.
And I think it can become a thing where we feel almost guilty when we're not, doing something productive, because you get in the habit of just always being on, always being productive, always, pushing. But I think if, especially when you get overwhelmed, there is a natural amount of stress that can be healthy for people, and it's normal to feel that way. But there's a point where it's like, when you recognize that you're overwhelmed and you're just not thinking clearly, you need to take a little break, and then when you take the break, do a little introspection, like, okay, what led up to that? Well, I did this or this or this, or this came up in my life that was really troubling, and then maybe piece together, like, hey, you know what, I do better work, or I feel less stressed at this time, and try to coordinate your day and your tasks, and think of a way that you can maybe avoid getting to the point of being overwhelmed. So you don't need to take, that type of break, and that you have a more steady workflow or day-to-day schedule.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It really does. I feel it. So do you have any other additional resources you can share with our viewers to help them improve their businesses?
Yeah, definitely. So I've got all sorts of different things. The big thing, though, coming for me, I know you've got your boot camp coming up in early March, and I've got a challenge starting March 2nd. It's a 4-phase ultra sales system challenge. So it's a systematized approach to sales. The challenge starts February 2nd. There's going to be 1 training per week, and it'll go through some of the stuff we mentioned here, but yeah, it's another area that I find a lot of business owners is usually pretty high on the list is sales and marketing. So it's a challenge for that. I could put a link in the comments below, or you could check out my profile. And,
yeah, please do that. Definitely, you guys will drop some links down here so that you have information for the challenge. Derek also has a Facebook group, so you guys should be in there too, so you can get as much information. He's interviewing people every week to help your businesses grow.
Yeah,
so definitely. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have anything else you want to add before we go?
Not more than that. I mean, we covered quite a bit. I think like the big thing is progress over perfection. You know, everyone's growing. Everyone's, you know, you do as much as you can just to have you know, a good mental state. That 1% better each day is the big thing. And you get, you know, you've got lots of support. You know, reach out. I know Don here, you know, as far as bookkeeping and accounting, you know, the profit first system. I'm a huge believer in the profit first system. So you're in the right place for sure. Yeah, reach out if there's anything that any additional questions you have or anything, put them in the comments, and then we'll be happy to answer those.
Wonderful. Yep. Watch the comments, you guys, and look for those links. And thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.